representing the Minister of Finance, arguing against a partial capital gains tax. And when I've heard the member's explanation of that, then we can continue the debate.
Question number 5, Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, will he oppose Sri Lanka chairing the Commonwealth following the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Sri Lanka as called for by the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the process for appointing Sri Lanka as the chair of the 2013 CHOGM meeting took place in Perth in 2011. All member states of the Commonwealth endorsed Sri Lanka taking on this role. As host of this year's meeting, Sri Lanka automatically becomes the chair in office of the Commonwealth for the following 2 years. The process has been followed ever since the role of chair in office was established in 1999. Commonwealth operates by consensus amongst its 53 members. I can tell the member that no process exists to install a different chair in office for 2014-15. There is no vote held. Sri Lanka is automatically the chair.
Order, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question.
Point of order. I seek leave to table a letter from the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative to John Key dated November 6 asking for them to oppose the appointment.
Order. Leave is sought to table that particular letter. Is there any objection? There is none. It can be tabled.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
Why won't his government put out a statement opposing Sri Lanka chairing the Commonwealth for the next 2 years to put pressure on the regime to change?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, because there is no process for changing the chair.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
Does he accept that there are serious human rights abuses that have taken place and are still taking place in Sri Lanka?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it is highly likely there have been significant human rights abuses that certainly took place at the back end of the Civil War, and some of those could be ongoing. They'll be matters that I raise personally with the President when I meet with him later in the week.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
Does he consider that the human rights situation in Sri Lanka is better or worse than Fiji? And if his government is willing to talk tough on Fiji, why won't it take firm action on Sri Lanka?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the major issue that the government has with the incumbent government currently in Fiji is not one of human rights, although those issues from time to time are raised. The issue is the way that the Fijian government was installed, and that was through a military coup. That is the reason why the government takes action against the current government of Fiji.
Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
Is he concerned that having Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa chairing the Commonwealth for the next 2 years might undermine international efforts to get an independent inquiry into war crimes and human rights violations in Sri Lanka?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, no, I don't think that'll be the effect. I think actually the effect of Sri Lanka being in the chair and therefore hosting the event is that the world's media will descend on Colombo and draw its own conclusions. I do note that before I came to the House, I did rummage through my office to see whether I could find any statements about Sri Lanka becoming the chair a couple of years ago from the Green Party. They may have issued one, but I'm not sure I saw it.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
Is he aware that local Tamils and Sinhalese human rights activists believe that the current approach of this government is validating the regime and buying them time to entrench their power?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure there's a range of views on the ground in Colombo and in Sri Lanka.
Supplementary, Mr.
Supplementary
Speaker.
question, Jan Logie.
Will New Zealand support United Kingdom Prime Minister David Cameron's call for an international inquiry into allegations of war crimes in Sri Lanka?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we may well do so. We haven't drawn a conclusion on that yet.
Supplementary question, the Honourable Marianne Street.
Why will he not move to create a process to challenge Sri Lanka's chairing of the Commonwealth by working with other like-minded Commonwealth countries and thereby take an active rather than a passive approach to human rights records in that country?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, firstly, the government's not taking a passive approach. In the last 12 months, the Foreign Minister's been to Sri Lanka twice, has raised the issue of human rights with the government, is travelling to the north where significant human rights abuses may well have taken place during the back end of the Civil War, and I am having a meeting with the President to raise New Zealand's concerns. I don't think that is a strong argument the opposition can mount that we don't take human rights concerns in Sri Lanka seriously.
Question number 6, Nikki Wagner.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Conservation, what steps is the government taking